Tonight, we go looking for a ticket out of homelessness in Denver. From offering people bus tickets to leave town,
the system is not perfect,
to offering people a chance to resolve their tickets and stay. Coloradans head for Washington for the inauguration, to cheer and to protest. Please let them be sitting next to each other on the plane. As for the train, Next viewers are now sending in eyewitness reports.
Here it comes.
If XL's tree trimmers come calling, cover your tender vegetation. It might end up looking like this. With part of our state looking like this, 5 feet of snow this month, we wondered how ranchers and cattle are doing. The pizza that caused a minor panic at a police station. And the plan to sell more books by giving them away. Settle in for this complimentary edition of Next. A one-way bus ticket to another state will cost you hundreds of dollars, unless you're homeless in Denver. Then the city will buy it for you and send you on your way. Our Ryan Harrer takes a closer look.
A one-way Greyhound bus ticket from Denver to San Diego runs $222, a charge picked up for 27-year-old Austin Blitzer by the City of Denver's Family Reunification Program. Dana Niemela is the director of DHS's community outreach.
and one of the major criteria is that they have a support network on the other end.
Niemela says they call and verify that there is a family member or friend in the new city willing to provide support. But when Austin got to San Diego, he spent his days driving around with friends, smoking weed, talking on Facebook about how they are all broke and homeless.
The system is not perfect, and we're doing absolutely the best we can.
Since starting its homeless busing program in 2011, the city of Denver has handed out roughly 540 one-way bus tickets, costing a total of $123,000. Some of these people have criminal records, like Kenneth Riley, sentenced to 4 years in a Colorado prison for aggravated robbery. He kept the system busy for years after being released, failing to show up to court and violating probation. A couple of months ago, he got a one-way ticket to Portland, Oregon. I asked Dana if the city is just passing its problems on to other cities. Is that happening here?
Absolutely not. Denver is not trying to get rid of its homeless problem. We recognize that every individual seeking services is unique.
There is not one single solution to each person's problem. And this solution, Dana says, does work for many families, now living much more comfortable lives.
Recently, we actually just had a family call us back from when they arrived where they were going and say, thank you so much for the support that you provided us.
18% of those who applied for the program were denied, and DHS is doing what it can to prevent cases like Austin Blitzer's. Overall, they say the program works, getting families back on the right track. For Next, I'm Ryan Harrer.
More than 100 of those tickets were handed out last year alone. 20 of them went to children. If those people or those families return to Denver, they're not eligible for the bus ticket program again. Denver's chronically homeless often cycle from the streets to court to jail and back again. The city thinks it can help break that cycle by bringing court to them. Here's Jeremy Hohola.
You see a guy who looks like a judge. There are lawyers and law enforcement, but this isn't actually a courtroom.
Good morning, Mr. Hackworth.
Well, it is today in the Denver Rescue Mission, a homeless shelter. This is Denver's homeless court. Real court now held every other Wednesday away from a traditional courthouse.
I'm scared to go there because, I don't have really good history with police.
The new city program is designed to make it easier for chronically homeless people to take care of their citations before they stack up into something worse.
We are also able then to deal with warrants if they do exist so that persons don't get arrested and they don't experience jail.
And that should bring down the cost and burden to the city's justice system. The program is aimed at people like Tyrone Henry, who we revealed last November as Denver's most arrested man. Arrested more than 60 times in 5 years. Tyrone's criminal history was mainly made up of minor alcohol-related citations, but he always missed court dates, resulting in warrants and then trips to jail at a huge cost to taxpayers, about $150,000 in Tyrone's case alone.
That persons have a lot to deal with when they're experiencing homelessness, and a lot of that's just around survival. So taking care of a ticket is probably not their first priority.
The city says getting rid of these tickets can also help people get jobs and into housing because they don't have these warrants on their records. And so far, Kyle, about 150 people have been through this program already.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy Hohola, a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
We'll never get to see the car commercials that could have been. Make tracks to Dinosaur Ridge for your best deal on a new car or truck. Get to Dino Ridge before zero down financing becomes extinct. It's because Jefferson County isn't going to allow car dealerships to be built, after all, near the natural landmark. After Next signed off the air last night, Jeffco commissioners gave preliminary approval to some zoning that won't allow car dealerships, but will permit hotels, car washes, and gas stations. If one of those gas stations is not a Sinclair with a big green sign, that would be a missed opportunity. Coloradans are headed to Washington in waves this week, and they are going to the inauguration for different reasons, and some of them with pretty complex feelings. If you voted for Hillary Clinton, it might be easy to look into that crowd at the inauguration and just see your political enemies. If you voted for Donald Trump, it might be simpler to see every protester as someone that you couldn't have a conversation with. But the fact is, there are neighbors. So that's why we will be introducing you to the Coloradans headed to Washington this week for a variety of reasons. Deb Kelly stopped by 9 News before she left for Washington. Her husband works for the Red Team, the Republican National Committee. That's how she got a ticket to the inauguration. But Deb is packing a less partisan view of her trip to Washington. She says for her, seeing the swearing in will be more of a reminder about how the American system works.
It is a celebration of everything that is American about our process, and George Washington was the first example of that. People have always protested at inaugurals, people have always celebrated at inaugurals, and most of the people who will be going on either side are people who are active participants in our democracy, and that's a wonderful thing.
Deb says she got a couple of tips from people who have been to previous inaugurations, and it sounds like good, solid Colorado advice. Wear comfortable shoes and pack some power bars. 83 cadets from the Air Force Academy will be there. They obviously will not be cheering or protesting, just parading. They'll march in the inaugural parade from the Capitol to the White House, about 1.7 miles. The cadets have marched in every inaugural parade for every president since Dwight Eisenhower in 1957. And one of the cadets happens to be a Denver native as well. Cadet First Class Jack Brady Courier is in Cadet Squadron 6. There's a small public charter school in Frederick that's sending some 7th and 8th graders to Washington. They obviously didn't vote Trump or Clinton. They're from Carbon Valley Academy, along I-25 north of Denver. That school sends students to Washington every other year. The trips usually happen in May, but they decided to move it up due to the inauguration. There are 11 students who all really wanted to go, raise the money for the trip. They're from Mr. Crawford's history class.
It's a big deal, and it's something that I really respect and appreciate from the parents' standpoint, that I get to take them into this situation of being in Washington and be able to see them be moved by history.
If you are headed to the inauguration or know someone who is for any reason, we'd like to hear about it. You can get our attention anytime with the hashtag HeyNext or drop us an email, next@9news.com. There are people who wonder if we only check on the A-Line train on the days when it's not running. That would not be fair. A-Line's running smooth as butter today. And Next viewers are taking notice. Here is viewer Michael Corboy handling today's report.
Here it comes. Folks, the A-Line is definitely running today. Running pretty fast, too.
See, look at that, live report from the scene. Michael recorded that near the Park Hill Golf Course in Denver midday today. So we will take your in-person A-Line reports any day, whether you're on board or on the ground. Tell us what you see. A bookstore decides the path to profit is giving away books for free.
That's crazy. That's crazy talk.
If this is how Excel trims trees, just be grateful they don't do haircuts. And it was the philosopher Princess Anna who famously asked, "Do you want to build a snowman?" One man in the high country answers, yes, every single winter. You know, arborists are artists. If you've ever seen them work, sculpting trees into something healthy and beautiful. And then there's what Xcel Energy calls vegetation management. And those folks were out knocking on doors in Centennial this week asking to trim trees that could damage power lines. They do this all the time, and it is obviously for our safety, but the result often is not pretty. This would be somebody's tree in somebody's yard, and that is now the view out of few somebody's front yards in a neighborhood near the intersection of Dry Creek and University. Come on. We called XL today to ask about this. They said that they sent a team back out to the house and talked with the homeowners, and they've now decided that instead of half of a tree, they will just take down the tree completely. XL notes that it does have the right to come in and trim trees that could potentially cause problems, and we certainly understand why they do it. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a massive snowman in Gunnison. 9 News reporter Noel Brennan actually spotted this while he was out on another story. Needless to say, we were impressed, and we were curious about the backstory of what appears to be a two-story snowman. Well, Chris noticed this picture on our Facebook page, and he told us the backstory. There's a Christmas tale shop on Main Street. Guy there named Wayne Koska. He builds these snowmen himself using just a ladder, a bucket, and snow. His wife tells us he starts with a column of snow and just keeps building all season long. We thought this could be because of the record snow in Gunnison, but nope. Wayne apparently does this every year, and that last year's snowman, even more impressive than that.
Well, if Wade decides to build a snow woman next to the snowman, we have more snow coming in, and it could be heavy starting in the high country tomorrow, and that snow is coming to Denver on Friday. I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin. Beautiful night in Denver after a day with highs above average 50s in January. Not unusual, but certainly something that we don't mind around here, melting off all that snow from earlier in the week. And the snowpack numbers are amazing, running at about 154% of average, numbers that California also recording across the Sierra Nevada mountain range, where winter weather and travel advisories are out for the next storm headed for Colorado. Chest-deep powder recorded in Aspen and Snowmass today. Michael Charmick with this great picture. And there's more snow coming as early as 2 o'clock tomorrow west of the Continental Divide. And then we're going to look for that snow right here along the Front Range on Friday afternoon. But not tonight. Other than a bit of fog on the far eastern plains and light winds, we have a lovely evening and another mild day coming up tomorrow. Things shift for us heading into the weekend. Tonight, fair skies and 26. Tomorrow, temperatures above average again in the mid-50s. A nice day coming up and a cool, dry weekend ahead. But Friday afternoon, maybe an inch or so of snow. And then there's a stronger storm system taking aim at us from Monday night into Tuesday of next week.
Thanks, Kathy. Bookstore owner in Broomfield admits that his industry's business model is broken. And he thinks the way to sell more books is to give more books away. We get that story from photojournalist Brian Wendland.
While used bookstores may be charming,
there's an intellectual stimulation that happens when you're around tons of books.
While used bookstores may have a certain appeal,
books are essentially ideas from one person trying to tell it to another.
Used bookstores usually lose money.
The business model is horribly broken.
The way Coyote Ridge Books owner Matt Johnson wants to fix it may at first not make sense.
As we give away a ton of books.
Free books. They draw people to the store.
I collect storybooks for my kids, of course.
And once they're inside, that word free is everywhere.
Giving away books for free, that's crazy. That's crazy talk. You can't do that. You can't make money doing that. That's crazy.
But Coyote Ridge does make money, because most of the people who come for the free stuff end up walking in and buying something too.
And it's really one of the key strategies in radically rethinking how a used bookstore works.
Johnson isn't keeping those strategies to himself. He's partnering with people who dream of owning bookstores, teaching them how to run a business, and then starting that process over somewhere else.
What we hope to do is keep doing that over and over again.
The idea is to save as many failing bookstores as he can.
It is a dream job for so many people, especially young people. They're going to be all gone by the time people have the wherewithal in like time in their life to do it.
He says the customer base is there to keep these stores alive.
This is why they're always going to be around. We just have to create a business model that supports that.
Free books creating profits, maybe keeping used bookstores alive.
We're changing the model so it's long-term sustainability.
For Next, I'm Brian Wendland.
The ranchers of central Colorado are way past knee-deep. 5 feet of snow this month. A pizza is delivered to a police station, pepperoni, black olives, and a side of suspiciousness. And Colorado doesn't care if you stare. She knows she looks good, especially today, all dressed in white.
Our next question comes from viewer James Leffingwell. Hey, next, deep snow is great for skiers, but it's the bane of mountain ranchers. How are they doing with all the snow? And where it's tough on livestock, it's a killer for wildlife. How are they doing with all the snow?
It is tough to get a hold of a rancher right now, with the stock show and everything, but we did. We talked to Leonard Kruger. He owns Kruger Ranch, southeast of Gunnison. He said the ranch has 23 inches of snow on the ground so far this season. That is less than 2008, when he says 32 inches fell during that season. They've learned a lot since then. They plow wider so they have more room for all that snow. They move the wood pile closer to the house so they don't have to hike through the drifts to warm things up. There is one big difference from 08. There's more moisture in this snow. Leonard's almost had a roof collapse, so they're shoveling off roofs faster this time around. We asked him about the cattle, and we had a rough phone connection, so I transcribed what he had to say.
It don't impact them too bad. In fact, this winter's been pretty great because, we haven't had a lot of real cold temperatures. In fact, all through that, we haven't been below zero. So, that's good for them. It's, normally when we get a snow, then it'll drop down to 40 below, and then that's not so good on it.
All right, grab your snow bingo cards. Leonard says we needed the moisture. He says this snow is a good thing because it was so darn dry before the winter. He will have his eyes on spring, though. If it melts too fast, that could be the problem.
Yeah.
So
he said 23 inches of his ranch.
23 inches on the ground right now.
Yeah. Oh, on the ground right now. Okay. Yeah. Gunnison Airport was thinking they got 55 to 60 inches.
Right.
We've been talking a lot about Gunnison, but I mean, they're looking at a snow event there in January that they've never seen in recorded history.
And some of those pictures are just unbelievable.
Yeah,
you think about, you got to plow differently to make sure you have room to put the snow somewhere.
Makes perfect sense. And we appreciate the people out there are concerned about our state's farmers and ranchers as well. It's not just sidewalks that need to be cleared.
We're happy to make a phone call.
There you go. Thanks, Steve. A pizza delivery caused a minor scare at the Craig Police Department over the weekend. Domino's pizza delivery guy showed up with a box, but no one at the police station could remember ordering a pizza, and they take no chances up there. Dispatch got involved and called Domino's. They confirmed that the pizza came in peace. It was courtesy of a family living out of state who had asked officers to check in on a lady in town who wasn't answering her phone. She was fine. The family was thankful. The pizza was a gift. The note inside said that, but Craig PD isn't in the business to open up suspicious boxes of any kind without first doing their due diligence. A view next that will remind all of us why we choose to live in this beautiful state. Right around back. The best job at 9 News arguably belongs to the guys who get to fly each day in Sky 9. Take a look at the view out their window. Bet you that does not get old. Ashley Pfeiffer's noticed that we've done a couple stories from Gunnison as they're sacked in under 5 feet of snow and says, please keep them coming. A lot of feedback about fashion tonight. Dwight says, has Steve joined the clergy? Did he do it online? I think it was just a sweater, Dwight. And Niwat Dan says, Kyle liked the sport coat. When's the band going to show up? A stylish band? See you next time.